Hey there everybody. It is Thursday, July 28th, and it is time for my sketchbook review. Quick overview of my week. I can't really go into detail about it because but whatever, it's an art channel, so we're gonna try and focus on that. It's actually been a very exhausting week. Yeah, it's been a very exhausting week. That's all I can really say. I'm picking things up and everything. It's just not sleeping well because of stress mostly. And I get like this every time I start a new job, if the job is like super important. So yeah, I'm actually kind of running on fumes right now, but it is what it is. But I've actually gotten quite a bit of doodling done throughout the week. Ugh, pardon me, I have to yawn. And a little bit over the weekend, so yeah. Next week should be a little bit better. My days are a little bit more broken up because tomorrow will be my 5th day in a row working, which normally isn't a big deal for me. I don't mind that. I like working full-time, but because of the stress on top of it, it's just a little bit more difficult. I know that if I continued on this schedule, I would eventually adjust, but the way it's kind of planned out for me is I'm gonna start working a couple days and have a day off, then work 3 days, have a day off, work like a day, have a day off, you know, whatever. They're just gonna start fitting me in wherever I fit in, and yeah, I got a little while yet to go, so but I am picking things up. I'm just still very unsure of myself, but anyway, I have been doodling though, so let's go ahead and just get straight into that. So my little place, you know. So Sunday night, I don't know why, I started watching Sword Art Online. I've watched it before. It's not my favorite anime. I've worked on the books. It was an okay manga, actually. I quite enjoyed it. But I was watching the anime and I was thinking about like Piper in like a Sword Art Online costume. So I was just kind of doodling that out for some funsies, just for something to do. And it turned out alright. It was something to draw. It kind of got my hand moving and got me wanting to draw a little bit, so I just rolled with it. So there's that. And I really like how the design for her turned out. And I still have ideas of doing like some sort of medieval setting for a story or something like that. I don't know that I would use Piper in it, but you know, just the idea is there. So there's that, and then a little bit more, trying to do foreshortening. I was like, why do I always try to do foreshortening? Let's look at it. And then I did a little Piper sitting there hugging her knee, and then I was doing a back version, and then a side version, and I just kind of pewtered off on that. Got tired of doing that. So then I did a picture of Piper and Philip. Her face is pretty tilted because I was, again, doing that bad habit of leaning my head when I'm drawing, so things kind of shift off to the side a bit when I do that, and it looks really bad, but it is what it is, and yeah. But I wanted to draw Philip mostly, so I kind of have this in mind, like, because at some point he does take her to a fancy party or something like that, and this is kind of her, like, you know, reminding her, like, yo, you belong to me. You do what I tell you to do. Rawr. And then Flower Piper. I did one very similar to this last week, but I kind of finalized it a little bit more, kind of tightened it up. I may finish this one. I was thinking about watercoloring it and making this like a nice violet in bloom, and then she's just kind of tucked in there sleeping. But yeah, it was actually based on a picture of a mouse that Kay sent me of a little field mouse sleeping in a violet, and it was just really, really, really cute, and I liked it, and I was like, that's Piper, because I had that whole idea of her being found in like gardenias or something like that, and it was going to be like Philip's garden or something like that, which is how she meets Jean, because he's like patrolling Philip's property or something. Comes across Piper, tells her to get out that flower, get back to the brothel. She's like, excuse me, I'm not from a brothel. No, she wouldn't talk like that. But yeah, that was the idea. And then I was drawing a picture of Piper and Jean, and he's like teaching her how to dance, like ballroom style. and she's just kind of okay. The thing is, and I realized that again, back to Harp Stars, back when we were working on that, me and the artist from Harp and Stars had sat down and we were drawing together. We were doing a draw pile. She was drawing Liz Rain and I was drawing Piper, and we had looked up Irish style of dancing, and we were sort of kind of working each character drawn in our own style, like against each other. So it was like a collaborative thing at the same time, which is a challenge to draw with another person because you have to make the changes in real time. It was actually a lot of fun. But anyway, point being, now that I've decided to keep that Piper does know how to dance like that, which isn't ballroom style at all. It's like very close, aggressive, personal types of dancing and stuff like that, but very fast-paced and twirly and whatever. And Jean's like, well, don't do that because that's not how it is. How Jean knows how to dance is beyond me. Kay would have to tell that. I don't even know if he would know how to dance, but Kay would have to explain that one to me. Because, yeah, he's not my character, but whatever. And I drew Piper, all excited about a strawberry. And then I was drawing a picture of, oh, these were in live stream too now I think about it. And then I was drawing a picture of Clementine nibbling on a pencil, but this didn't look like Clementine. So then I redrew it, and that looks like Clementine. And I figured that because she's a squirrel, she chews on her pencils a lot. I was working on storybook style Piper, and then it got weird. So I was looking at zoot suits. Okay, stop. I drew this first, which is Piper in a 1940s evening gown. And then I got to thinking, oh, what would Jean be doing in this time? Because for those of you who have been following me for a while and know the history of Piper, back when she was a duck, she's actually a thief and things like that. That was one version of her character. She's a bit kleptomaniac in Harp and Stars. And that's kind of a characteristic that's fading from her the more I write her, just because it doesn't really fit in. It's like it's really against everything else that she stands for, but to me it was like a fault I was going to bring out in her, and it can still stay there, but it's just so against her character at this point that I really kind of don't want to do it anymore. But in this instance, 1940s Piper, I got to thinking, well, what if she's like this international jewel thief? What if she is like world known for being the best of stealing? Oh man, and of course my neighbors are gonna start mowing. It is flipping like 8 o'clock at night and they're out there mowing their lawn. Oh well, gonna push through it. Sorry about the mower, but I don't have time to do this again tomorrow night, so yeah, you guys are just gonna have to ignore that. Anyway, so back to this. So she's like this internationally known jewel thief. And I was like, okay, now what if Jean is like this detective, this zoot suit wearing detective? Because zoot suits are important, my friends. What if he's wearing a zoot suit and a fedora, and he's like this detective who follows her to try, not necessarily like Carmen Sandiego because he only works within his precinct, but like every time she comes to his city, he knows she's there, he goes to see her, he says, don't cause any problems in my city. And she's just all so cute and everything. She takes her little gloved hands and cups his cheek, and she's like, I would never cause you those kinds of problems, officer or detective. And then turns around and does exactly what she said she wouldn't do. But she's so sweet and kind about it. Anyway, that was the idea I had going in my head. It played out good in my head. That's all I can say. That and Jean in a zoot suit. So, of course... Oh, okay. So there's more to it, but we'll get to it later. Picture of Jean and Piper's hugging him from behind. I like back from behind hugs, especially if it's like shorter characters and taller characters, because she can only reach around his waist and stuff like that. This just turned out lovely and cute. I loved it. And then this is Piper, and at some point, like, Jean, like, gets on her, zoot suit wearing Jean, Detective Jean, gets on Piper, and she finally gets fed up with his crap and just smacks his fedora off his head, and he's like, no, not the hat, like, how dare you, you know, I want to say assault, but assault is verbal, battery is physical, and how dare you hit my hat, and now the husband's in the shower, guys. Oh my god, so much noise today. But we're gonna power through. Anyway, so he would say, like, how dare you, you know, like, his fedora is his life. Not like 2000s wearing fedora dudes, like 1940s proper era wearing fedora dudes. Anyway, so then I had this idea that Terri gets a hold of the fedora, le fedora, and so she's wearing it and she's just like looking all sexy at him, and she's like, I found you a hat, detective. And then Gene in his blunt glory, you know, is like, well, you're going to give my hat an STD, because for those of you who don't know, Terri is a prostitute. She is in like almost every single story I've written her. And the only time she wasn't one was when she was like a murderer, like running around murdering people. There you go. Anyway. And then she like makes fun of his shoulders. But then I decided that she wouldn't actually do that. She'd just get mad that he made the insinuation that she has an STD. So then she just takes his hat and like molests it, and then they put like a little frowny face on the hat. But I was thinking like Lilo and Stitch when Lilo drags her tongue along Nani's arm. Something like that was the noise I had playing through my head as I was trying this. And then I had her offer the hat back to him and be like, you're a hat detective. And he's like, yeah, because everybody messes with the hat, I guess. But that was just like a quick little funny thing I threw together. Like, it's funny to me, and if you're in live stream, it was hilarious. You know, and I guess from an outside perspective, it's just like, that's just weird. But hey, at the time, it was hilarious and everybody quite enjoyed it. So it gets shared with you guys. You guys are kind of getting it a little secondhand. Okay, and then there's this one. I forgot her ears. But I guess that they would have been down anyway. But I did a picture of child Piper, like 5-year-old Piper and 5-year-old Lysraine. And he's making fun of her because he says she throws like a girl. So she's going to throw the ball. And she's going to break his face with it because, you know. And she'll feel really bad about it. I already know. But like at the time, you know, I'll show you. Because that's what little kids do. That is how the little kids do. And so I like drawing little kids sometimes. And there's a picture here of Jean. Oh, is that even, can you see? Of Jean picking Piper up because she's quite a bit shorter than him. He's pretty tall for a mouse. I struggled with his hair, so eventually I just kind of gave up. But he's scooped her up and is carrying her, and she doesn't want him to drop her. She's scared, and she's like hanging on to his head, and like, you didn't drop me. And Jean's like, dude, whatever. You're like half a pound wet. So yeah. I am sorry. I had ice cream today and I have the hiccups now. This is like gonna be the worst video ever. Okay. And then I opened up requests and somebody requested Lysraine and Piper hugging. I was kind of explaining a little bit about their relationship. I think I've explained it once or twice before, but just a quick recap is Lysraine is Lysraine. He likes girls, you know, he does what he does. He doesn't necessarily cheat on her because she doesn't upfront tell him how she feels or anything like that. But she does care a lot about him, but at the same time, because of what he is, he can't really turn down some of the girls from where he's from. He's just kind of got to roll with the punches. Not that he's complaining about those punches either. And Piper knows about it, and it breaks her heart, but you know, she cries it out and then moves on because she understands. She's ignorant to the ways of the world, but if they're explained to her, she has to accept it because, you know, there's certain things you can fight, there's certain things you can't. And, you know, in the end, I know, like, I've internalized it as she literally asks herself, is it worth losing him over? And the answer's always been no, because she loves him. So even though it hurts, and, you know, I don't know if he apologizes or not. He doesn't aim to hurt her, and she knows that. But that's just the way his world is, and even though she doesn't understand it, she has to accept it because she accepts him. So, not necessarily right, not necessarily healthy, but they eventually are exclusive to each other. So, it does work out in the end, but in the beginning, there's some tears and hugs and I don't know if there's apologies, so, because it never came down to that, but again, that's just kind of the way it is between those two. But they do actually really care for each other, so it's really cute. Alright, so then I did a picture of Cherry. I keep hitting my... Okay. See, I got my camera right here because I was live streaming, and I keep hitting it. I'm trying to just show you guys the... And I hit it again as I said that. So I did a picture of Cherry just kind of chilling out in her bloomers and her corset. And I believe that this would probably be, when I was doodling this, I was thinking about her as a Dullahan girl. She probably has very late nights, very late mornings, things like that. She just kind of lazes around when she's not feeling necessarily the best. So, you know, whatever. And then I drew a picture of Cherry with Sean. There's no mustache, so is Sean. It turned out really good. I'm not used to drawing Sean at all, but it turned out really, really, really good, I think. I enjoyed it anyway. But yeah. Yep. It turned out pretty good. Yep, Cherry knows exactly who she likes. And for the record, this is like the only dude that Cherry ever actually really gives a crap about. Just saying. And then there's Cherry and Missy McLean. And I did have worked out, and I talked with her about it. Again, I just was revisiting Harp and Star stuff because, again, I've been very tired, and being creative is really difficult when you're dragging. But we had worked out that as a child, Missy would go stay with Cherry and her family because they were actually a really good family and still are really a good family. It falls apart because Cherry makes decisions in her adult, you know, once she's an adult that her parents don't necessarily agree with. But she would, Patrick McLean would send his niece over to stay with them while he had work to do and things like that. So in the beginning, Cherry was I imagine Cherry was very aggressive with Missy, but eventually they ended up becoming really, really, really good friends and then ultimately sparring partners. So yes. But Cherry was a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say invasive child. She likes to feel people out. She likes to push her boundaries just to see how far she can go with them and then make her decision from there. And with Missy, it probably got to a point where Missy ultimately just punched her in the face, which is good because Cherry respects that actually quite a bit. So I don't know. It never got down to that point again between these two, so it's hard to say for sure how it would have been, but that's kind of what was going through my mind when I was drawing this picture. And then I drew Cherry from Great Mouse Detective, her Great Mouse Detective version, which was just basically Victorian clothing and things like that. I have calmed her hat down a bit. It used to be quite a bit taller. But I was thinking about that again, and I still kind of want to go into that universe with her. It's just, you know, part of me is like I feel guilty when I do things like fan stuff with Cherry or anything like that, or any of my characters, because I really need to be focusing on my own stuff and getting that going. So anyway, and then here is Seamus. I've started another male character. It's very difficult for me to draw male characters, but I'm pushing myself a little bit. I kept this design very basic, very stagnant. I may change a few things up here later. I kind of want to give him like a little goatee or a little soul patch or something right here. But I just decided to go ahead and do that because I just didn't know what else to draw. And someone said the name Seamus. It was in live stream when they were trying to guess who Sean was. Someone said Seamus, and I like that name actually, and I've just never thought to use it. Well, now we have Seamus. So I drew a picture of Seamus introducing himself to Piper, and it's really, really cute. He's very flirtatious, and again, he likes his ladies. And he's pretty bold and forward. So I did have this idea where he was dancing, and he drinks a lot too, like a lot. So he drags Piper out to the dance floor and is dancing with her, and I think ultimately Jean cuts in because that's my woman. Well, not really, more like that's my property, but whatever, we won't get into that. That's a work in progress, but whatever. But yeah, I like Seamus a lot. I'm trying to get his personality down. He's not like mean. It's just he drinks, he says stupid things, but he's not like a mean guy. He works hard, he drinks hard, and when he drinks hard, he does stupid things, you know, potentially offensive things, but overall, he's actually a pretty decent guy. So yeah, And he works in the mill with Piper, so yeah, ultimately they end up being friends. Piper's friends with almost everybody. I think the only one she's not friends with is Terri. And then here's a quick picture of Piper snuggling with one of her little buddies. She makes friends with the little kids in the mill too. She likes the little kids. And most of them are orphans, so, and she knows that feel, so she bonds with them pretty good. And then here's the last page. I wanted to draw a little bit of Bunny Piper, so I started drawing her off running. She was going to be chasing Bunny Jean, but I never got around to drawing Bunny Jean because I decided I wanted to draw a picture of Bunny Jean and Bunny Piper snuggling, because in their past, in this particular universe, unfortunately I got so many universes going, but this was actually mentioned in roleplay for Cloverdale. Yeah, Cloverdale. Was that they used to nap a lot together, because when Piper came to Cloverdale, she was completely alone, you know, completely abandoned, and not necessarily abandoned, but she had run away, and Jean was the one who found her, so Jean was the one that she clung to the most. He was roughly her age, you know, he was another kid, and he took her someplace safe, so she bonded with him like immediately, and Jean bonded with her immediately from, you know, I'm assuming from what I've gathered. And they were friends growing up and things like that, and the relationship went south as they got older because of things that happened in each other's, well, mostly in Jean's life, but Piper didn't really help the situation either. But Piper in particular remembers all of it because it was so important to her at the time. It's stuff that she needed. She was used to being penned up with a bunch of other rabbits, and then when she was alone, the only one she had was Jean, and he, you know, he didn't push her away, you know, he was her companion, he was her friend. They would nap together, play together, you know, everything together. Thunderstorms, he was there for her, you know, hiding with her and things like that. And that's kind of how they grew together, and they were super, super close. So when I want to blame him, but it wasn't really him, but it was kind of him. When he left her, it left her very devastated and hurt and betrayed feeling. But this was still what she treasured, were memories like this, and that's kind of how I was trying to do it. Was like a memory of just them being together and free, basically, because they were kids. They didn't have any worries, and it's not like that anymore for them. There's lots of worries in their life, but yes. And it was cute, because look at, oh, she got her little hands all curled up. And this is how I used to sleep as a child, just saying. I always had my arms crossed, and I always had one over and then one over. And then there was usually a pillow or something that I would, like, have right here. It was awesome. I remember those days. I can't sleep on my side like that anymore. Anyway, but yes. Yes. It's so cute. I love it. And that's it. So, well, I filled up a good 23 minutes. I did quite a few doodles. It helped to have live streamed over the weekend. So I was able to draw some inspiration for people. I think I'm going to plan a live stream for Saturday, since it's my next day off. It would require me doing all of my chores like earlier in the morning, but then I might do like a afternoon live stream or something like that. Start like around noon and maybe go till 6 or something. Just long enough, or maybe not 6. I mean, this last one, I know that this one in particular went like 10, between 8 and 10 hours. So I can't really be doing that stuff anymore unless I'm going to have 2 days off in a row. Then I could do it the first day and then recover the second day. But with work and everything like that, I try not to stay. I can't stay up super late and things like that anymore, because I have to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning for work. And I like my sleep, and I need to be on point at work. So yes. So if I do another live stream, it'll probably be Saturday, but it won't be for like as long as this was. It would probably only be for a couple hours or so. But yeah, that's all for this week. If you guys liked what you saw, feel free to like, subscribe, comment below. And yeah, what is it? It's the 28th. So we should be getting our creative art boxes here pretty soon. So that's a video that's up and coming. And I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to do. I can't remember. That'll be my last review for that. And I've pretty much decided I'm going to go ahead next month in August and order the Inktober Art Snacks Inktober box. I just have to wait for my next paycheck. And I'm gonna go ahead and order that, and then I'll do a review on that. And then I think what I decided I was going to do is in October, because I'll be hopefully nice and settled in by then, I'm gonna do not only the Inktober challenge, which is an ink drawing every single day. I think I'm gonna try and do a video for each day too, but we'll wait and see what ends up happening. I might only be able to do one or the other, the Inktober or the video. But I would still be doing like weekly updates, so you guys would ultimately see it. So yes. Anyway. Ooh, I could do like each day just a clip of working on it and then like edit them together. Ooh, that'd be sweet too. That would be sweet. But alright, those are just ideas. I would love to do the 31 days of actual videos, but that might be too much work. Because I struggled with daily vlogs, and those are only supposed to be like a few minutes. But anyway, again, if you guys like what you saw, feel free to like, subscribe, comment below. And if you guys can think of any art subscription boxes in particular that you would like me to review, then go ahead and toss that in the comments below as well. I'm looking at Art Snacks, I'm looking at Sketchbox, I'm looking at Scrawlrbox. But those three, like a lot of people already do those, so it wouldn't be anything new to you guys. I'm not sure if I'm going to renew with Creative Art Box. We'll see what this next box brings, and then I'll decide from there. And yeah, I think that's it. I also am thinking about getting the next Pusheen box, but ooh, that's down the line. Okay, so enough babbling. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next sketchbook review.